The ads are everywhere. Flyers, neon signs, billboards, all written in some weird foreign language I can't find a match for, plastered with goofy artwork of bug-eyed hot dogs and steaks and less identifiable things. People stop and stare at them compulsively, pupils dilating as their clouded mind registers God only knows. A lot of people say the exact same thing, in the exact same tone and rhythm, every single time. Looks good enough to eat. I hear it 100 times a day, when I risk going outside anyway. Then they'll head straight towards one of those impossible windows, the infected supermarkets, the rapidly multiplying vending machines, or one of those green doors. Those awful fucking doors. I don't know if they're actually new, or I'm just newly capable of seeing them. The first one I had noticed had grown, for lack of a better word, on the back of our local ShopRite. An ugly, faded seafoam attire, a smeared window shaped like their Burgrr logo, a chrome handle flecked with rust, same as all the others I've seen since. People were coming and going at a steady pace. Even when I staked it out for a good 6 hours, I never saw a patron coming back out again. I guess that should have been a big warning sign, but I couldn't take it. I had to know. It didn't lead into the store, of course. I knew it wouldn't. As soon as I stepped inside, I was assaulted by the sound of eating, feasting, wet, chewy sounds drowning out everything else. Tugged on my gag reflex. There were bars, tables, and booths scattered in a disorganized pattern around rows and rows of buffets. Many of the seats were occupied, but the bulk of the customers were eating on foot, wolfing down shit right out of the bars as they went along. I knew none of them could comprehend what they were really doing, where they really were. The decor was almost, but not quite, the style of a retro 50s diner, maybe with a dash of Dr. Seuss. A lot of the furnitures looked clunky, soft, and plastic, like they were designed for children. But I can't imagine a child with such a depressing taste. Booths were lined with putrid, off-green cushions. Tables were a hideous yellow tan with chipped chrome trimmings. The floors were a blue pale tile, like public restrooms. Many were missing or disheveled. Walls were more tacky chrome interrupted by fake wood paneling, giving way to glass windows about waist height to the ceiling. Yes, windows. Not visible from the outside. I had stepped through the door in the middle of a plain, solid brick wall, but from the inside it was glass all around. They were so thick with grime that I could scarcely see through them, but I could tell it wasn't the correct view from behind the ShopRite. It looked more like a murky storybook vista. Simple, blocky houses rolling green hills. Despite having a steady stream of people coming in through the door, I couldn't see a single sign of movement out there. I began to wonder if I looked suspicious, just standing around gawking while everyone else was heading straight for the food. I thought I might as well make, some effort to blend in. Mistake number 1. Most of the offerings were the typical shit coming out of those takeout windows, or invading grocery shelves. A heap of raw red steaks on a bed of black clotted blood. Oversized, pasty white drumsticks dribbled in cold white juices. Long trough of chunky, pinkish slop that jiggled like pudding as people scooped it onto their trays, or into their grease-caked faces. I think I must have pulled up my shirt to my nose at that point. I thought I recognized a lot of the exotic fare. Frog's legs, chicken feet, beef tripe, but I couldn't be certain, though I wasn't sure if a chicken had that many toes. or if any frogs grew exactly that large. There was a tray that I thought were fat, segmented sea pods, until one of them abruptly curled and uncurled twice, like a beckoning finger. Absolutely made my skin crawl. There were tongues. There were brains. There was something clear, yellow like spaghetti in a brown sauce. At least, that's what I'm gonna keep telling myself it was. There were fish fins and goat eyes and even bones. And just steaming hot, perfectly bare white bones. I could barely take my eyes off anyone eating. Mrs. Farber, a grim, crunchy old bag from down the street, was digging like an excited child through a big heap of what looked like horse teeth, sucking whatever scraps of gum tissue she could find. I felt my stomach shudder. We made eye contact, and for a moment, I almost saw a look of horrified clarity, like the fog almost lifted from her mind, like she was going to ask me in what in God's name she was doing. Instead, her eyes glazed over, and she smiled that chillingly idiotic smile. "Just like Mama used to make," she said in a hokey, sing-song tone that she'd never be caught dead using, popping another gnarled yellow molar into her mouth and sucking noisily. I could taste my own bile as I backed up, away from the godless orgy of culinary depravity. That's when I saw it. The thing I could only come to think as an egghead. It was wobbling around the bars, arms blindly flailing, a chalk-white, naked, sexless figure dominated by a featureless beach ball of a head, a sick figure made flesh. The alien invasion theory was already sounding better and better. The thing was already working its way down one aisle at a time. It didn't look like it had any particular goal in mind. It occasionally clutched at someone's hair or clothing, as though desperate for attention, or even a need of help, but no one so much as blinked in its direction. I assumed I could get away by ignoring it like everybody else, until it finally hummed its way down the opposite aisle and crossed my direct line of sight. It froze there. The blank, smoothed, egg-like face directly towards me. I don't remember the sprint home, but I do remember the dead of night when I exploded out that ugly, greasy green door. I couldn't have been there later than noon when I first entered. I could have been ogling the horse therein for more than 40 minutes. From my perspective, I don't know if anything followed me, but I barricaded myself in my bedroom that night, just to be safe. The doors and windows are everywhere. If you can read this, only go out when you must. Don't go anywhere new. It might be newer than you think.